The Joystick Show.
Welcome back to the Joystick Show, and if this is your first time, thank you for joining. We're your three favorite friends from Hawaii, here to talk story about comic news, pop culture, and video games. I'm your co-host, Drake. That's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And that's Scott.
How's it?
And tonight we have a fantastical special guest, Frank from the Geek Freaks. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, y'all. Hope you're all doing well.
As you can tell by our attire, we're Halloweening. And so we've got Master Jedi over there. I'm low-budget Catman. And we've got, looks like Cyclops. Pew, 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 pew. Even though you're looking directly into my eyeballs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the glasses touch.
Yeah. We're like, we get it. We are into this episode now, and we've got a little bit of news. We've got some hypotheticals and some reviews that we definitely want to talk about. So why don't you go ahead and kick it off, Deet?
Yeah, welcome back. We're here for our Shtick or Treat Part 2. Let's do it. We got a hypothetical to kick it off tonight. And I don't know, did we decide on a name? I know we got it like StarWarsween. We talked about
StarWarsween.
We talked about, we kicked around a bunch of ideas for this, but basically
Something with Tatooine. It's like right there.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, okay.
Hello,
That might be it. We'll just
Tatooine?
call it Tatooine.
Hello, Tatooine. Yeah, it's right there. You're right.
Yeah.
And yet we can't figure it out.
Tatooine.
So
Yeah.
Allow it to be. It's fine. It's fine.
yeah, but this is going to be a pretty Star Wars heavy episode. Our hypothetical is also based on Star Wars, and it goes like this: out of Darth Vader, Darth Maul, General Grievous, and Cad Bane, who would you least like to be in a horror movie with? We'll start with Scott.
Oh, perfect. So these are all pretty terrifying, okay? In different ways. I think visually, Cad Bane looked the creepiest when I first saw him on screen.
Yeah.
Darth Maul, though, does look like kind of like a Hellraiser. And then if you had like these light up blades, that'd be kind of crazy. Grievous is like Ex Machina, you know? But Darth Vader, I feel like he's like probably the most scary if you know who he is. But if you just didn't, you're like, what's your deal? Like, what's this guy? Like, he looks like the most friendly, I guess, out of all of them. But probably Cad Bane. He looks creepy AF.
I'm
like
just
his eyes
are
are.
Darth Vader now.
Yeah.
Like he's the most friendly out of all of them.
He could trick me and then like choke me out. But then like Cad Bane, I'd see him and I'm like, he's like, I'm your friend. I'm like, fuck you,
No,
dude.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no.
Too creepy.
Yeah. And he has like Chainsaw Man real teeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's super unsettling.
Yeah.
Do they
So
have
Let's get
dentists in
coffee.
the-
And I'm like, no.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't have a good dental plan.
All
maybe.
the dentists are on Coruscant. It's hard to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Exactly.
Gotta shoot his way there.
Yeah. So what's your answer, Scott?
So, Cad Bane. I think
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. Right on. Yep. I like that answer. What about you, Frank?
I'm going to go with General Grievous because he's more robot than man at this point. And so I think the lacking of compassion, I think Darth Maul, I think I can talk to him. I think we can find common ground. Hey, I like sabers too, the cool double one that's fancy. And then we've got, what do we got? Vader. Look, he just wants to be loved. And, I'll let him know what's going on with Padme. That's really the trick of it. Who else do we got? We've got Cad Bane. I know what Cad Bane just wants to score. So if we could work together, he's going to get out of there. It's Grievous that has like when he screws up real bad. So even if he's trying to help, he's going to make things worse.
Right.
Plus, if he accidentally busts out 4 lightsabers, that's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
All right. I like it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That seems like in some ways you can probably talk out most of them from trying to kill you. So yeah, I think your strategy there is persuasion for like most of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like extra points of persuasion, roll the dice, try to get a d20, and then get lucky.
What about you, Drake?
I think I'm going to have to go with Probably Darth Maul, just because I think he's the most agile. So the way I'm thinking about it is like Cad Bane has guns and he's also pretty scary, but I feel like without his weapons, he's pretty poor. And then with General Grievous, I'm not really too afraid of a person who has like asthma. And then
wow.
With Darth
I
Vader,
feel offended. I don't even have asthma.
every UFC fighter with asthma tuning in right now is like,
like
gonna write you.
Well, that's it. We're coming after you, Drake.
Yeah.
Where's my Ventolin? Darth Vader, I feel like his lack of mobility, I feel like would be, I mean, obviously he has the Force, but I just feel like his lack of mobility would make it easier to kind of run away. But maybe it's like one of those Jason feels where you run away, but then he just keeps following you and then you don't know how to run and then I trip and then I die. So that's why I choose Darth Maul, just because of his agility and his athletic ability would scare me in a horror movie.
Funny. Of course, the cat would be afraid of somebody outmaneuvering them. Yeah, definitely. That's funny. No, I love all those answers, and those all make a ton of sense. I think for me, I'm also going with Cad Bane because seeing him in real life, was it Obi-Wan Kenobi or was it Boba Fett?
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Like seeing him in live action for the first time, and his like blue face and the red eyes and like the shark teeth scared the shit out of me. I'm like, God damn, like I do not want to see or be running from that guy. Because one, you're not going to get very far because he's an expert marksman. But two, it's like he stops at nothing to kill you once that's it. You know, I think Darth Maul would be second, and then Darth Vader after that. And then, General Grievous probably at the bottom, but because he probably will screw it up. But man, Cad Bane just, it scares me to the bone. So that's my answer. All right. Well, on that note, let's move on to the first bit of news, which has nothing to do with Star Wars. And it is that Henry Cavill is now reported to be leaving season 4 of The Witcher for, who is it? Liam Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Liam Hemsworth, yep. And I want to say, I guess I'm curious what you guys think. Like, because my suspicion, and I don't know if this is confirmed, is it just because of the Superman thing? Like, he's coming back for a bunch of titles for DC? I don't know. I didn't read anything that confirmed it, but do you guys think the same thing? Frank, if you want to kick this off.
Yeah, there's nothing really confirming anything yet. It's all from, which is very odd. He's the one that broke the news, not like WB or somebody on Netflix. He broke the news saying he's stepping out and that Liam is taking over. Mm-hmm. So my prediction is that, he's going to be kind of like Black Adam. The two of them are going to be this like interconnecting tissue because DC needs something like that now that they have James Gunn and the other guy, which that's his real name is the other guy. But now that we have those two kind of connecting everything through DC, I think that'll make sense. Like you have Superman kind of building the good guy coalition, Black Adam, because he is a bad guy. I'm tired of hearing him. He's an anti-hero, but he's a bad guy at first. Right. Kind of building up that other coalition. I think that would be cool. Mm-hmm. The long shot guess I have is that he's picked up a couple other projects. He's a big World of Warcraft player. I would love to see him play Arthas. And that would be just the dream. Or if he could play Aegon Targaryen for Game of Thrones spinoff. like he would be an amazing Aegon Targaryen.
Yeah. So, and I think I saw Boss Logic did a drawing of him as Aegon Targaryen, and I was like, that looks dope. So
I love Boss Logic. Oh man, that guy does such a good job.
I know everything he draws. I'm like, I want to own that. That looks cool. Yes. I want that for my wall. Yeah. What about you, Scott, Drake? What do you guys think? You think it's just because we saw him in Black Adam and The Rock's like, dude, get your ass over here. We need you.
It's hard for me to believe that like The Rock is that convincing for someone like Henry Cavill, but I did see The Rock's like Twitter post about him essentially saying that he's worked a long time to try to get Henry Cavill back into the suit, but I don't know. I feel like I feel like there's more to it. But to be honest, I don't have an inkling. I'm just happy that he's back in the suit and that he's doing other things. Granted, he was really great in The Witcher, so I'm kind of hopefully Liam will do well.
Let's go with that because as I've said before on this show, like I tried. I know this sounds crazy, but like I tried with The Witcher. I really did. I got through all of season 1, and as cool as that was, I was like, you know what? I just don't know if this is for me. And I love Henry Cavill. He's cool as Geralt, but like, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. Scott, what do you think about that? Especially like him leaving The Witcher, because I know you were a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, he super worked for me.
Ooh, did he?
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, like, because the last I've seen Liam, he was like a lot smaller than Henry Cavill. But if he can get on some kind of like Thor program, like his brother, it could work out. It maybe like the one reason could be like maybe the season 4 Witcher was not as strong as well. Like, because first thought was like, why not both? Like, why not both worlds?
Right.
But Frank had a good point. Like, if he's going to be involved in a bunch of DC projects, like there may not even be time to do that. And like to put it on hold for too long would be just unfair to all the people who have jobs over at The Witcher. I hope it does well. I just sad face. But I'm super pumped he's back as Superman. I'm pretty sure that's what we know. That's what he's been waiting for. Like he's been staying in like crazy Superman shape for the chances to be Superman again. So it's like this guy was made for this role. I'm super excited for that. And especially as a DC fan, like I love The Witcher and all, but we still got 3 great seasons. Not to say 4 is not going to be good, but if it isn't, at least we got what we got, and we can still get more Superman. So I'm all about that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Just to add something real quick to how powerful The Rock is in the situation too, because it could be The Rock that made this happen. Not to spoil anything for somebody for Black Adam, but let's just say somebody makes a very big cameo at the end. Well, The Rock wanted that to happen, and Walter Hamada, who used to be in charge of the DC studios up until about a week ago, said, no, we can't. We're not going to do that. We don't know what we're going to do with that character. Yeah. And The Rock went around him to the 2 execs above him.
Oh, dang.
And they said yes. And so The Rock superseded the guy in charge of DC to go to the guys in charge of Warner to make something happen. And it's kind of crazy that he could do that, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell The Rock no, so I don't see anybody else doing that either.
Yeah.
So The Rock is powerful.
I know.
Like Adam.
Dude, he crushes things more than weights. Like, so I know it's amazing. And yeah, it's going to be crazy to see who else The Rock can pull in because of how powerful he is in Hollywood. It's crazy. The other thing too with Black Adam is it had a 59% drop off from box office on week 1 to week 2. So it's interesting because actually this time for Shazam, like actually Shazam with Dan Levy, like is it Dan Levy? I might be completely wrong with it. But his Shazam movie actually by this time had already made like $9 million more. So it's kind of interesting. So I don't know if it's considered a success or not. The headlines will tell you that Black Adam is crushing it, but numbers are kind of showing differently as of the time of this recording. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm very, like we talked about in our last episode, so happy with all the news of where DC's going and the leadership and all that. So exciting stuff ahead.
Real quick, it's Zachary
Levy. I was thinking
Dan Levy. That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. I love him too. He's so funny.
He's great too, yeah.
Yeah, all the Levys. I'll take all of them.
He needs to be part of the family, the Shazam family.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, next, I think we have a little bit of, we're just going to kind of deviate. We're going to get into some reviews. We have To the Bone, we have Tales of the Jedi, and then we have Andor episode. We're going to do a little bit of a review on 6 with Frank, and then we're going to dive into 7 and 8. But no, dude, we want to hear what you have to think about it. But
dope. There you go.
Nailed it, bro. Right into episode 7. But I was just curious because I don't even know if we talked about this last year when we did this, but I was curious. What was your guys' best or favorite Halloween costumes you've ever dressed up in as you were growing up? And we'll start with Drake, and then go Scott, and then go Frank, and then from there.
Best Halloween costume. I think my favorite was probably when I was I put a lot of effort into being this pirate. I think it was one of my first Halloweens in Colorado. And I like got the beard. I had like the handkerchief situation with the hat that had the trifolds on each side. I got some weird boots. I had the fake one-shot pistol. I had the thing. Unfortunately, I don't think I had a lot of friends in Colorado at the time, so I just wore it. But I was really proud of it. So that's my favorite.
Nice. Right on. Okay, I like that. I like that.
that.
Where did you wear it to? Did you just wear it to work, or were you just like wearing it everywhere? You're like, I'm gonna go to Long's and get some toiletries.
I feel like I wore it out. I mean, I think I took an Instagram picture with it, and I don't remember other people seeing it. So, yeah, I think the altitude must have taken my memory away.
Yeah. Well, now you have no excuse for a profile picture for Twitter.
Yeah, duh.
There
you go.
Right. No, that's awesome. Cool outfit. What about you, Scott? What was some of your favorite or best costumes you can remember growing up?
I think other than the Care Bears costumes that we did, I think we touched on that in the past. Those were pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I think other than that was probably when I was a Ninja Turtle.
Teenage
when I was a
Mutant
youngin'.
style? Oh, Teenage Mutant style.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant, but I wasn't yet a teenager, so I was like just pretending,
Yeah,
and
elementary mutant Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, pretty much. And I had like this sick like turtle shell backpack that like went with it, and I don't know if it came with the costume or like it was a pretty legit backpack. Like I ended up just having that backpack for years to come, and it like held all my toys, and ended up being like my toy bag.
Yes.
So like I got to enjoy that for years after I wore the costume. So that was pretty memorable.
Yeah, that sounds a lot safer than a Long's bag I used to carry my prized possession action figures in that I left at my dad's softball game. So
no.
It was terrible.
Sucks.
But that sounds way more legit. That's awesome.
Good.
That's cool. What about you, Frank?
I'm going to cheat a little bit. So my brother and I get invited to a Halloween party. And so we're all right, let's do it up. So I go as Darth Vader, and I got the helmet because, of course, I just pull it off the shelf because I got a bunch of helmets. And black cloak. Mine's easy. He goes Darth Maul. Full makeup, horns, I mean, cosplay standards. Really, really good.
Nice.
We get to the party, nobody's dressed in costume. We're the only two dressed in costume. And the entire time, I could have said it maybe 20 times. I'm like, dude, I am so sorry about this because you deserve to be like somewhere cool with this costume. I just felt so bad for him because he's sitting there and we're just like, whatever, bullshit at this party. It was kind of a lame party. And he's like, who has a Halloween party with no costumes? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Right. And he looks freaking legit. It's so good. Had the saber, everything, cloak, everything, so dope. And here we're just sitting there on the couch, like watching TV in a party. It's so lame.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, dude, this is let's go somewhere. You deserve to be seen.
Yeah. People are like, dude, Ray Park is here.
Darth Maul and Darth Vader walk into a party.
Yeah. There's a joke in there somewhere.
What's great too is like you could like as soon as you walk in, you could be just like take off helmet and cloak and be like, oh, sorry, bro. I don't know why you dressed
I did take the helmet off. Yeah, I was right. I was about that. I mean, I think you can't breathe them anyways.
Oh my gosh.
That sucks so bad.
Yeah, that's so funny. That sounds like a good premise for Super Bad too, if they ever do one. This is awesome. No, I love that. All those were really great. I got 3. So when I was thinking back to it, some of my favorite costumes when I was a kid, one year, me and my dad went as Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Nice. And my mom cut out those, I don't know, those shoulder pad things that came down in a V.
Yeah.
And he found this motocross kind of mouth guard piece and spray painted it blue and yellow. And that was one year, we were Sub-Zero Scorpion. I thought that one was
sick.
awesome.
Who are you?
That's awesome.
I was Sub-Zero.
Nice.
And he was Scorpion. And it was right after the movie came out. So, of course, I was like, get over here.
Yeah.
Your soul is mine. Yeah. Your soul is mine. But that was a great one. I always loved that. I got to find pictures of it. The other one was one year we went as the 90s X-Men. I went as Wolverine and my dad went as Cyclops. Full with the yellow belt, kind of like your shirt, Scott. Show the people at home. For people... There it is. Just like that. The shoulder strap, the chest piece down. Yeah. And he had the yellow boots and I think he was wearing yellow sunglasses and I had the full helmet and the Wolverine kind of, I don't know what you call them, wingtips on the top of it.
Cat ears.
Yeah. Can you call it? Do Wolverines have pointy ears? I don't even know. But so that was a great one. And then the last one I was going to say, and you guys briefly touched on it, but I don't think we did a service. I think we got to tell a story. So one year, were we in college? We might have been post-college. I don't remember, but it was us 3 and Kobe. R.I.P. to Kobe. Before he left us here by himself.
Who's still alive?
He's still alive. Yeah, he's not dead.
Yeah.
Our view is that he just doesn't.
Something serious happened on episode
Yeah.
50, guys.
Yeah. Kobe
That ice
died.
cream was no good.
Yeah, the ice cream pizza totally jacked him
What a
up.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, I know.
That
Right?
oh, by the way, when I saw that, looked so freaking gross. I could not believe. No, I think I listened to it. That sounded disgusting. I can't believe he had ice cream pizza. That no wonder he's out of here. I would never.
That's true. That's true. He's like, why'd you guys make me do this? I quit. But yeah, no, that was a solid bet that we had from our Miss Marvel watch party. And we're like, now's the time to pay up, man. We're making a big deal of this. We voted online, as you guys probably did out there. But yeah, it was just a great time. So, but anyways, flashback to, I don't know, remember early 2000s, a Halloween.
Mhm.
We decided we all were going to go as Care Bears. And we got this thought by going into some kind of fabric store. I think it was in IAEA. And you guys can jump in at any point if I'm missing something. And we found blue and pink and green and orange and all these different colors. And basically took like a person's length of fabric, cut that out, and decided to go home or back to my house and start sewing it up into costumes.
Yeah, we were so confident that we could do it. And we don't even sew. I don't even know where that came from. We're like, dude, we could do this in a night.
Yeah,
Like,
so hilarious.
it's so
All of you guys did it, and I just commissioned my mom, and she did it for me. So I don't
No,
know.
but that's what's funny too. I'm sure Tom's gonna get to it. We were like hand sewing at your house, and it was like getting late, and we're like, it's not gonna happen. And your mom's like, let me take a look at this. And she like, and I believe that she helped you guys with your Sub-Zero Scorpion because she jammed out most of that costume, all the hard work.
Yeah.
Like, I think we made the little symbols.
We made the stencils out. Yeah, we stenciled
With
it
the
all
felt
out.
and the
Yeah, with
Velcro,
full,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like full on felt, burr, whatever it
Well,
was.
we were Care Bear / Scare Bear, so we had like altar signs to put on our tummies.
That's right. Yeah, so that's next
yeah.
level. So we like my mom knocks it out. Drake's mom had knocked his out.
Yep.
But after like we woke up on the floor because we were like all tired from trying to sew, which we've never done before. And we get stuffing for the we're like, how are the bellies gonna look full? So we figure out like we put stuffing in it. I don't remember what the stuffing was. It was like some kind of pillow stuffing that we slammed in there. Funny story about that, by the end of the night, all the stuffing had sank to the bottom. So it just looked like we had like beer bellies, like we were beer belly bears or whatever, you know. But so we all dress up, we have the altered symbols, totally R-rated neck symbols. Like we had the basic hearts as well. We go to Waikiki, which is like the main kind of place you want to be in Hawaii or on Oahu for Halloween. And it's, I don't know, 80 degrees and 80% humidity.
And there's tons of
we're
people.
in Hawaii in these furry costumes.
It was warm.
Like a half an hour in, I'm like, this was a bad idea. We're sweating so bad. It's so hot. But I mean, for a bunch of single guys, I don't think you were single at the time, Drake, but for a bunch of single guys, it delivered. There was like so many like girls coming up and be like, "Oh, Care Bears!" I was like, "Yes, this is what we wanted." It was great.
Pivot on that though. I remember two girls came and was like, "Oh, like take a picture," and then they were like vampires of some sort,
Zombies,
and they hugged. Okay, and then they got some makeup on your
blood.
Your
blood
makeup.
And, oh my god, it was so funny. You're like, what the? Like you're just like, I worked hard on this Care Bear outfit. Like it's just like
so bad about it. I'm so burned.
Basically, like, oh, these hot girls just ruining my Care Bear costume. Like,
yeah, which I was so burned. But I think, I think we ended up in like Waikiki magazine or something. Like we took pictures or something. It's like people took pictures of our costumes, and there's like one photo that exists out there of all of us in our costume. Oh wait, and Justin Ehosh, shout out to Justin. He also but I'll never forget that because one, it was awesome how they turned out, and like the whole venture creating them was awesome, and two, it was so damn hot. I was like, this is the biggest mistake ever. It was just,
we were sweating.
Didn't we?
Sorry, go.
Oh no, I was gonna say we ended up at a like what is that macadamia place we were eating
Mac 24.
After? Yeah, Mac 24. Yeah.
Which was the furthest away from our car, and that's how we ended the night. And then we're like, now we gotta walk back. Like, oh my god, like miles. What another funny thing is too, when we first got there, we were all meeting up, and I think majority of us were together, and then Kobe was meeting with us, and like the place we're meeting up at had 2 entrances. So we're like,
right.
oh, we're in the front of Jimmy Buffett's, and he's like, I'm in the front of Jimmy Buffett's, and we're like, we're right here, dude. Like, I don't know where he is. He's like, I'm here, dude. People are walking by me saying, nice Teletubby costume. And I'm not fucking Teletubby, I'm a Care Bear. And his Care Bear was like the Sunshine Bear, which was like
the
maybe
yellow
funnier.
right.
Yeah, he was just like so angry.
Yeah, that was so classic.
Oh, that's so great.
So
That was a good night.
Great night. It had highs, it had lows, but it was an adventure. And that was such a good costume. We'll probably have to post this at some point online. So check back on Twitter and Instagram. All right. Well, let's get into our first review of the night. And it was something that was kind of unexpected for me. Being that it was Halloween weekend, I thought we would watch a scary or Halloween movie. My wife decided to choose differently, and we did not do that. So we ended up watching this movie called To the Bone. And it was kind of surprising, but I just wanted to briefly touch on it. It was really good. I just thought it was a really good movie. It was, I guess, what you would expect. The movie centers around this girl that has anorexia, but she's an artist. And it's kind of her trying to deal with the fact that, deal with the disease and also try to deal with what her life looks like moving forward. But I think Lily Collins did a great job. What really kind of sold me on wanting to play it in the first place was that Keanu Reeves is in it, and he plays, I believe, a psychiatrist, some kind of medical doctor where you do prescriptions as well and diagnose her. But part of her deal is that if she wants to be helped by him, she has to check herself into a 6-week all-intensive clinic living in this house with other kids who are also anorexic. And it's very deep. There's definitely some kind of more, very touching moments, some tough moments to watch, but the acting and the actors and actresses all the way through really pull this story along. And you really feel for these people. And it kind of painted this disease in a way that really kind of brought a lot to my attention because I'm just so unfamiliar with it, but that struggle absolutely looks really, really hard. And there are lighthearted moments in it, and there's one actor in particular, and of course I don't have his name right off the top of my head, but he plays this kid named Lucas, who is a ballet dancer from the UK who goes to New Jersey to be a part of the New Jersey Ballet, and then gets brought into this home with the rest of the kids. And he just kind of is a joy. Like, he just brings so much kind of happiness and just quirkiness and amazing lines to this whole story, and really kind of ties this, oddball family together in a way. But so anyways, I highly recommend it if you are into that kind of thing, or if you're curious. Lily Collins, again, does an amazing job. Keanu Reeves, I believe, does an amazing job. Even, I'm trying to think of what her name is, but she's from Parks and Rec, and she plays Donna in Parks and Rec. She's in it as well. And so the whole cast is great.
So Luke, the actor name for that is Alex Sharp.
Alex Sharp, perfect.
Joy. Okay. And then that Donna is Rita, or her name is Lobo in this movie. That's Rita, just one word. Perfect.
That's right. Yeah, totally. And it's funny when she said Lobo, I could not stop thinking. It was like DC. Yeah. Lobo.
Come on, DC, don't mess us up. Bring in Lobo.
Exactly.
It's 2017, same time as John Wick 2. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. It must have just hit Netflix for me.
Can you imagine, at this time when he's making this very serious movie, Keanu Reeves is also recording John Wick 2, just like a shoot 'em fest, and probably at this time, doing his lines for Cyberpunk. Crazy year for him. I mean,
wow. True. And you know what? His delivery in this movie is not much different than Cyberpunk. So,
and he's probably recording his line for Toy Story 4, actually, because that came out a couple years later, and it takes a couple years to make. So,
and he's doing his arch cycles too. So he's got a busy life, huh? This guy.
He does.
That guy, and actually, it's really crazy because there's a line where he talks about, why he's single and how he's into his work and all these things, and kind of knowing what you know about his personal life. It really feels like it's not coming from Keanu Reeves, the actor. It feels like it's coming from, who this character is. And Keanu Reeves is kind of expressing his real life struggle through this character. So that was another kind of crazy, touching moment to it as well. But yeah, crazy. I didn't even know it came out in 2017. I thought it was something new to Netflix. But yeah, again, if you're struggling with any of those things, I don't know if this helps or not, but I would hope that it does. And I learned a lot about it. And I'm just kind of wishing for the best for people who go through, these type of disorders. So yeah. Anyways, that's all I got to say about that.
Add it to the watch list. That sounds good.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've watched it before. I remember that dude coming in, and then they get a little bit of lovey-dovey in the situation. I don't remember Keanu Reeves being in it, so maybe it was a bit ago. Maybe I watched it in like 2018 or something like that.
Nice.
Maybe. Well, on that note, Drake, why don't you take it away for our first review on some Star Wars stuff with
Star Wars.
Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Yeti. So I didn't. I went into it kind of empty. I didn't know what it was about. I kind of read the synopsis and I kind of understood that it was supposed to be like an anthology series. And then I started watching and I was like, oh, wow, this really does serve a lot of the in-between for what we know from Clone Wars up into, I guess, what we're currently in. And I really enjoyed probably the last 3 episodes the most. The Sith Lord, Practice Makes Perfect, and Resolve. I mean, they're very, very short, but to me, it was very interesting in the sense of how they're filling in a lot of these gaps from the episode 3, which was Choices, where Dooku and Mace Windu investigate essentially a death on another planet, and you can kind of see the hints of where Count Dooku is starting to like look at things a little bit differently. And into there, you get into the Sith Lord, and then you kind of see how, Qui-Gon's death really affects Count Dooku, and then he kind of like peters off. And then you start to see in Practice Makes Perfect where Anakin is really trying to hone in on Ahsoka's skills and, really almost be a father figure. Like, I believe one of the lines is like, the only way I can protect you as your master is by teaching you how to protect yourself. And,
Such a good line.
Yeah, it was a great line. And she's surrounded by Rex's men, and they've got all phasers set to stun, and she needs to deflect all those things with her lightsabers, etc. And the time jumps within it too are very subtle, but make a big difference in telling that story. And the last one with Resolve, probably one of my favorite, because you kind of get to see her come back into the fold. And after that episode, it really felt like this was kind of like the precursor to what we'll see in Ahsoka and what we're going to kind of see behind the scenes of what was happening when this Rebel Alliance was being formed in a much broader sense. But I thought that the animation was a little less than Clone Wars. There was a time where they opened up like a pot, and then it was just like very, very low budget mechanical type things in there, like just like bubbles popping,
a little bubble.
Yeah. So I was like,
vegetables, nothing in it.
Yeah. The stories were beautiful. The animation maybe a little bit of a B-, but I think adds a lot to the lore, especially with Andor, and we can get into that a little bit later. But I just like how they're building out Star Wars and not doing it off of the back of like a Skywalker story. But what are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So the episodes go Life and Death, 1, Justice 2, 3, Choices, 4, Sith Lord, 5, Practice Makes Perfect, and 6 is Resolve. Frank, looked like you had some stuff to say about that. Would any episodes jump out to you?
Yeah, I mean, so a couple things. First off, yeah, you're right on the animation. To me, it feels like when you see like a remaster, not a remake in a video game, like, oh, okay, nice texture on lower polygons. I kind of got that feel, especially with the, it's like heavy paint strokes to try to do this one. It's a little bit of Bad Batch. Anyways, not great. My favorite unexplored area is the Qui-Gon Jinn, Count Dooku, Yoda, like that storyline, because that's the closest we get to Grey Jedis in canon right now, right? We're gonna get more later on, but hopefully. But the idea that I personally think Qui-Gon is the best Jedi that we've seen, because he truly follows what he thinks is right by Jedi beliefs and not necessarily what the Council's saying, which is listening too much to the Senate or whatever they're called at that point, whatever. And
right.
Anyway, so I really like that character a lot, and the fact that we're seeing Count Dooku not as just like, oh, he went corrupt, but no, he's trying his best to do what's right. And I think that's something that's just like, man, he deserved this. And as soon as you see that lightsaber sit down and it's got the bend, and you're like, yes, it's Count Dooku, baby. It's so good. So I think this was needed for a lot of justice, and I'd like to see this expanded with more the Qui-Gon Jinn character, because Liam Neeson's back. Let's get him. I mean, he came back for that little cameo at the end, so I was like, he's on board. Let's make. I don't care how much money it takes. Make this man everywhere. I want more of it. Oh, so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we think about Master Yaddle? We finally got to see.
Oh, what an end.
Yoda type situation, man, crazy.
I know, it was crazy. What threw me off about her was that she didn't talk like Yoda. So that was a little bit weird for me. Scott, what about you? Any of the episodes pop out to you?
I'd say maybe like Drake was saying, the last 3 stood out the most. But I think Drake and Frank covered it the best. I don't know if I can say it any better. The only thing, maybe the approach I can take is I didn't watch too much of the Clone Wars. So even just watching these 6 episodes without watching the Clone Wars or Rebels, like, it still did a great job, like, filling in the gaps and like helping me understand, like, even just like Dooku, right? Like we get like an hour of him, maybe like trying to figure out, like, he's not just a bad dude. He's like, he was a good dude, and he's feeling cheated, and he's like, he has this thing he's going through, and like, you see all of that. And like, I thought that was done really well. I would have loved the art to be better. It did feel like it was not so much a special, just like a cartoon. Whereas I guess Tales of the Jedi sounded like it was going to be like more of a, like when we got those Japanese animation. Not to say it needed to be in Japanese animation, but like just, I thought it was going to be something more like that, like just a higher caliber of art. But I still got a lot more out of it than I thought I was gonna. I was like, oh, let's just check this out. It's based on the art. It's probably like for kids or something, you know. And I'm like, wow, this is like a lot of cool story, and I'm glad I like sat down and watched it all. I ended up watching it all in one sitting, which is not hard to do, but yeah, it was really good. I'm definitely hoping to see more Qui-Gon. I really did enjoy that aspect. Him and Dooku, and I would love to see Liam Neeson back. Like, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Do you think we would be okay with this animation if they said, like, hey, you know what, guys, we're going to release one of these 16-minute episodes once a month for like ever, so that we're kind of getting this regular small trickle? Do you think we'd be a little bit more okay with this animation style? Because we get a chunk, and our standards are so high with Disney. And so it's kind of like with the She-Hulk thing. It's like being cool She-Hulk because it's a comedy and they're shorter. You think we'd do that with this?
Yeah, you know, I might be in the opposite camp. I hear what you guys are saying, but I didn't mind the animation as much. Like, I don't know, because I see some clips back to Rebels, and I really don't like that animation. So for me, this was still a step up above Rebels. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I like it. It kind of reminded me of Clone Wars. But yeah, I think the only part I ever saw in Tales of the Jedi that was like, oh, that's a little bad, was the suit part, where I was like, that's it looks like gravy. But other than that, it didn't look so great. But I really liked it from the jump. Like, I thought it was really cool to see how Ahsoka came, you know, into the world, and how, you know, the society she came from, her culture that she came from. I really thought it was cool how they were kind of connected spiritually, and that how the elder in the village knew about the Force. And from the jump, she was like, her mom was teaching her, hey, a part of life is understanding death. And if you're okay with death, then you can also appreciate more in life. And that was like, it kind of like really hit home for me right off the bat. And I liked how it was a series from what's happening with Ahsoka and also what's happening with Dooku. So as one person is entering the Jedi Force, another one is kind of exiting out of it. So it's kind of a cool place where I wouldn't have saw kind of opposing views of it, but I don't know, that really worked for me. Yeah. And also, like, seeing, again, you guys have already talked about it, Qui-Gon with Dooku. Qui-Gon was already showing that he had this intelligence and natural instinct to do the right thing, even despite his master wanting to kind of take it in a darker direction or lean more towards the dark side, right? When he frees that kid from that village, and and even that second episode, what is it, Justice? It brought it back to me of like what's going on with Andor, seeing how the Empire was using their might and their force to kind of like neglect the people of these planets, like the lower level people of these planets. Like that it hit home for me again. And maybe if it wasn't for Andor, it wouldn't have been as impactful in this episode. But when Qui-Gon like saves him and he's like, Dad, what are you doing? And, they have that whole fight. I'm like, oh my God, this is like so cool. And then Dooku says to Qui-Gon, hey, you're wiser than me, which is what I believe Qui-Gon says to Obi-Wan. I think he says it to him.
Parallels.
Yeah, like it was crazy parallels there too. I was like, this is dope. So really, really dug that a lot. And someone brought up Dooku and Windu. Yeah, again, it was like similar styles. I mean, obviously same side, but opposing views, right? And you get to see Dooku again leaning more towards the dark side, but understanding why people, how the Republic is letting people down, and how Windu is so tied to, hey, we're Jedi, we're enforcements of the Senate, rather than we're enforcers of the living force. And you can kind of see the disconnect there as well. I just like every episode for me was just like more and more connecting things that I wanted to see, and that things weren't explained in movies, but you knew it happened because they were referencing like throwaway lines. But now getting to see it was like, oh, this is so good. So I was pumped all the way through. And then at the end, where you see Ahsoka with the dual lightsabers, and you see all the training and how Anakin was beating her down, and how rough that training actually was for her. But then for it to end kind of where the Clone Wars ends, where that show ends, with her literally having to think and use the Force, catching what all the clones were thinking so that she could defend everything, was just such a cool tie-in. I was really blown away by the stories and what they could like pack in on such short episodes. So yeah, that was my take on it.
One of my favorite, like almost just 2 lines was said. So first off, there's the one where, you were mentioning before, where Count Dooku tells Qui-Gon Jinn, you saved so many lives today. And it was, led by Dooku, but he's saying, because you hold me back and I was going to unleash. That was cool. And then there's a part where Dooku's about to just straight up leave the Jedi Temple, and he goes to that tree, and there's a book about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I bought it, and it's still sitting on my shelf. I got to read it eventually. But he says that, he said Qui-Gon Jinn loved this tree because he grew here on Coruscant, and it's a land of like, steel and stuff like that. But this tree lives here, and then he like goes away, and he's like, "Tell me more! Holy cow! You just unlocked like so much Qui-Gon Jinn lore by accident, really." And like, what are you gonna walk away with that? So now we got like this like street rat kid now imagining Qui-Gon Jinn on the streets, like fighting his way up, like proving himself through the Force. Like, oh man, it just unlocks so much stuff for that character.
I know. I know. Just that, like, wait, Qui-Gon from Coruscant blew my mind. I was like, holy shit! How? Like, I didn't know that. I was like, I figured somebody out there knew that lore, but that blew my mind.
It blew my. I'm sure somebody does, right? Not me, but I blew my mind too. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Bigger fans out there, like, you guys don't know shit about Star Wars. Yeah, there's a few other lines I wrote down that I thought was cool. From Choices, Dooku Windu, he goes, the guy who ends up killing, Master Katri, he says, Jedi claim peace, but mostly to keep law and order for the rich and powerful. And I was just like, wow, that's like such a crazy line, because that's probably how the rest of the world at this point in time sees the Jedi. They don't, we always think as fans probably see them as like they were the greatest force and they were trying to do the most good for the people out there. When the rest of the citizens were like, you guys were just the strong man for this government, and they sick you on us when they want us handled or taken care of. I was like, wow, that's such a crazy line.
And in Andor, that's exactly how they see the Empire right now.
So right.
Like,
yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So I thought that was so crazy. Yeah. That was kind of it. That's kind of all I got written down. So that was Tales of the Jedi. I thought it was awesome. You guys have any final thoughts that came to mind?
It's awesome.
All right.
No. There's one thing, I guess. When Dooku was like about to kill that dude, and Qui-Gon's like, "Don't do it." I love those moments because they really like make you question, like, man, if I had Jedi powers, like,
yeah,
like right now, I'm like, I'm kind of leaning towards Dooku. maybe it's best I don't like, have a Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I really do like those scenes, or it makes me question my own like self, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like Attack of the Clones when Anakin and I think it's Anakin interrupts Dooku about to kill Palpatine. It's like if he just let him do that, and it was Count Dooku leading this new empire instead of Palpatine. How much better would a Star Wars, like not Star Wars, but like the galaxy would have been so much in a better hands, I think personally, than Palpatine, who's just corrupt and evil. So I was
Right.
like, oh,
Yeah,
it's a
you're
shame
right.
Anakin saved the day. Damn it.
I know. You like blew my mind there. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, it would have been probably a wildly different place. Palpatine was just pure evil.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, so good. So Tales of the Jedi, it's out there on Disney Plus. You can watch all 6 episodes out there right now if you'd like. We're going to move on to another show on Disney Plus and something that we've missed the last few episodes. But we're here. Frank, how did you? I know you've kind of binge watched some of this Andor. What's your take on it so far?
It's a slow burn, but a good one. Totally worth the watch. I've been trying to think of like what's the parallel to this because we especially as podcasters we have to review everything and so we have to have a take on it.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to figure out what this is like. And I think I finally figured out it has the pacing of Ozark.
Oh,
And so
Yeah.
it's got that where you're kind of like following the cartel side, you're following the FBI side, you're following the family that's got everything going wrong, and like Andor himself, he's got everything going wrong, and then you see everybody that's he's in between two sides right now.
right.
And so it's got that pacing for it. And then, of course, episode 6 was just like, holy cow, this is perfect. It's a great Ocean's 11 in the middle of a really good show. And and these last 2 episodes have just been setting up. I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit on Geek Freaks this week. Squeaks, his favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One. And so he's been just like, this is perfect. And I have to watch Rogue One after this series is done now because I've already seen it, but I have to rewatch it because I haven't watched it since a long time ago. But it's just setting it up so well right now. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And just building that lore and just seeing the rebellion rise. It's like, oh, it's so crazy how it gets to that point. So amazing heist. Episode 7 picks up right after the heist, and we get to see some of the fallout. And now all the news is spreading of the Aldhani heist, and we get to see what's his name, Cyril Karn. He's now back on his home planet. I forgot where his mom is. I want to say it's Coruscant also. But he's at the lower depths. He's like down at the bottom. She doesn't live near the top where the sunlight is. She's like down towards the lower ground level. And you can just tell what kind of drove him to madness, I feel like a little bit. Like the way his mom ridicules him and just kind of berates his clothing and his demeanor, and that, hopefully he makes something of himself one day, when he seemed to be a pretty high level security guard. And one day, one mistake, not even really to his fault, like a bunch of other things that happened, and he just happened to be one of the people in charge, kind of all falls down upon him. And
he's right. That's the worst part.
That's true. I know. And it's probably driving him nuts. And you can see it's driving him nuts, right? You can totally see that, right? And we kind of pick back up on, he's now trying to get a job. It's some kind of like data entry place. It kind of reminded me of Severance, but more Star Wars. Severance is so good. But just this terrible kind of office, soulless kind of soul-sucking job. And I don't know. Someone else take it away on episode 7, because I know after that, we're kind of back into, I don't know. We're back. Yes, go for it, Drake.
Was episode 7, did they name Mon Mothma out loud? Was that the first time they did that in Andor?
It was around that point. It was because it's been recently,
Yeah, because I just remember they were at like Mon Mothma was talking to her high school friend from back in the day, and she's trying to allude to the fact that she's a part of the rebellion, but she doesn't know who to trust, respectively.
Well, that's the interesting thing, right? Oh wait, shoot! I think episode 7 is also here too, where she didn't even know about the heist. That's another interesting thing in episode 7, where she goes to Luthen and she's like, "Was that you?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And she's like, "Was that you on Aldhani? Are you the reason that they stole all these credits?" And he's like, "Well, maybe." He's like, "I told you that things are going to get worse before they get better." And that was the crazy part. It's like, even at this part in the rebellion, the rebels aren't even all like they don't all have the same information. Like that's the crazy
so
part.
much different factions.
Right. She's just literally
rebellion.
trying to get money, right? She's trying to pull the money from her family's, I don't know, inheritance or whatever it is to help fund some of these things. And that part was, I thought that was really surprising, actually.
No, definitely. I think when it came down to, and I believe we saw that in episode 8 when what's his face Luthen talks to Saw, but in general, still sticking to 7. I think to Frank's point, like the slow burn of it, but everything was good because it's giving us so much context, like how intricate every single moment, every single person involved that was in the rebellion in the original or episodes 6 through 79, episodes 6 through 9, and how we kind of see every single moment mattered, every single little credit mattered, every conversation, all of those things just became so much more relevant, I think. But I don't know. Take it away, Frank or Scott.
Well, I'll just throw in real quick. First off, Luthen is amazing, by the way. He's killing it in this show.
So good.
I wish I had my last name was Skarsgård. I want to say real quick, wouldn't it be great? That Mon Mothma, I think there's a little bit of like, because nobody trusts anybody, right? And that's because it's so early on. But
they don't know who to trust.
Right. But Luthen is using Mon to kind of create a network that'll eventually sustain farther than this, I think. And that's why she was like, oh no. And he's like, it's already created now. We can't do anything else about it. Right. And so that's going to go forward. And she, to me, is echoing a lot of Padme and a lot of kind of Leia, where they kind of, their rank and stature gives legitimacy to the rebellion. It's not just, a bunch of low tier character or social people, right? We actually have high end people that are like, no, we need to step up. And so I think just like with those characters, it's that kind of like, no, it's all tiers are not happy with the Emperor's moves.
Right.
And that's why she was so important to this. And I'm growing to like her character more and more as these shows come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know if she has more at stake, but it feels like sometimes she has more at stake than some of the other characters, because it's like, not only is it her life, but it's her family's life, and it's her reputation. It's the money, like you were saying, the stature and all that. It's like, there's so much at stake for her, and she has to still kind of fight for what she believes in, but also play within these certain rules where, Luthen and Cassian and all those people who just pull off the heist, they can play as dirty as they want, but she has to kind of follow the rules of the system. She's a political head, and she can only like pull the levers where she can here. So I thought that was also really crazy. We get to see more of Deidre in this as well, who's on the Empire side, and she's slowly starting to take over Morlana 5, I want to say it is. She gets like, the rights, I don't know what you call it. Like she gets to oversee that area where, they kill those 2 security guards.
Ferrex. Yeah.
Ferrex. Yeah. So she gets to take over it. And I don't know. I think she's just a really good character too, because you can tell she's driven by anything to stop this rebel alliance. And more than anybody, she's thinking like the rebels. She probably is the farthest away from them in terms of where her stature is as well. Yeah. But she's starting to think like how they're attacking the system by attacking the money, by, killing little guards here and there. She's really starting to think like the rebels.
Yeah. She says the line, she says, they're treating this like a robbery. And the guy's like, what should they be treating? He says, it's an announcement. And it's like, yes, it is, baby.
Yeah. And then like, it's so good. I mean, it's an announcement of so many things, right? And she sees it. And I mean, it's also like the title of the episode. It's just crazy how well thought out everything is in this show. Yeah. And that's what I'm really, really digging about it. And then we'll kind of fast forward to the end, unless you guys can pull up anything else. But we end up with Andor on Neomos, or as the internet is calling it, the Miami of Star Wars.
Yeah,
it is actually.
That's funny. So Andor has. Wait, before this, sorry, he goes back to see his mom as well and take her off planet, and she tells him, "Hey, I'm not going anywhere. Like I'm here for the rebellion," which I also thought was just like a really bold choice. Like this lady has been bold start to finish in what she believes in doing what's right, in taking Cassian. And, so we know based on that, he has like a good moral compass, even though he's been doing some shady stuff. throughout the show, his heart probably is in the right place when, especially in episode 6, when he doesn't split the money with Keith. You know, he ends up shooting him right there, which is such a Han Solo move, which was badass. But we end up back on Miamos, and he's with, you know, this new girl. It seems like he has a girlfriend. He's pretending to be in the shower. He hides the credits, and then he kind of goes out for a stroll. And he seems like he's on the far outer edges of the rim. And at the same time, a stormtrooper comes in and is like, "Hey, where are you going? Yeah, you're sweating," you know, gives him the full shakedown. And thus he ends up getting arrested. And that's kind of where episode 7 ends. Do you guys have any thoughts about that end to episode 7?
I just thought it was kind of interesting. I know we have how many more episodes of this? 1, 2, 3,
12
4.
altogether.
Yeah, 12 altogether, 4 more episodes. It was interesting how essentially Andor is just trying to get away from what he doesn't want to accept as his responsibility. And then he gets to a place where he really has to contemplate, but you know how observant he is from when he did the heist, and he could kind of see, well, you're left-handed, they walk more like this, et cetera, et cetera. And when he was walking into Narkina 5, you could see his wheels turning. He was looking at everything, right? And to me, it was like, how is he going to escape from here, right? Because the two other individuals, I forget their names, they were on Ferrix, and they were looking at Andor's former love interest to see where Andor is, because Luthen kind of wants to close down that loose end.
Right. Yeah, you're talking about the two girls, right?
Yeah,
like one is Luthen's assistant, and then there's the girl that kind of looks like Luthen's daughter. Scott, I don't know if you have it pulled up yet. But they have her, and then also I want to say it's like Victa.
Yeah.
I want to say Victa was like
Vel is one of them. Vel's like the main one. Vel
what is
and
it?
Cinta.
Yeah, Cinta. That's what it was. I combined them. I said Vinta, but but yeah, Cinta. Exactly. Sorry, Drake. What were you saying about that?
No. It was kind of interesting because now he's in like a literal prison when in reality, I think all around him, he's not really accepting the fact that he was already in a prison where he's trying to get away so much from all of his responsibilities, from essentially the Empire slowly closing in on everything. And now he's in a literal prison where he's starting to see kind of all of the things that it kind of was doing to an extent, right? He got put into a position where he's in a place of brand newness, and he has to kind of fit in with this group of individuals where they're going after a goal, and that goal, if they don't get it, is detrimental, right? With that magnesium style floor. And so he's in a way that I'm interpreting it is as how he's trying to figure out to get out of that physical, prison. He's kind of opening his mind to, yeah, sure, I'll step into the rebellion.
Yeah.
Right.
While we're there, we're now at episode 8. So
right.
Yeah. Sorry, Scott, did you have something to say before?
So I like that, you know, he ended up getting arrested in the end when he thought he was safe. And that's exactly what Marva said, right? When he's like, we can go anywhere. And she's like, till when though? Like, they're spreading. It's eventually going to catch up to you, which it did. So it was like, one of those like, oh, now he's living in the words she told him.
That's a good pull.
So man, this show, in my opinion, is so much better than like any other Star Wars show we're getting. Like, because you're saying like with the comparisons to like Ozark and stuff, like I love a show with a slow burn. What was that?
In The Mandalorian?
It's different. Like I feel like
it's better, but different.
Yeah, not like. Sorry, I mean in the sense where like
don't cancel us.
Yeah, we love you, Mandalorian. Baby Yoda. The thing I like about the show is like there's so much happening without a lot happening. Like you get so much content. You get like so much of like so much is said without being said. The writing is so freaking good. The actors are amazing. Like I couldn't help but compare, like, and I didn't want to, but there's that scene where Deidre comes in and she's like, I want you to like get me this information and I need it by this time. And he's like, oh, from like what sector? And she's like, all sectors. And she's like, and I need you to do that. Like the way she did that though, and like I was like, dude, I'm afraid of her. Like the way she delivered those lines stuff, I couldn't help compare her to the what was it not Boba Fett
which Mandalorian
the one right after Boba Fett Obi-Wan where it was like that lady who was just trying to like exert dominance all the time, and like
sister, right? Or
yeah, and it was just like it's just not believable, you know, like, and I was like, man, just like the right. I don't know. The acting in this is such a different caliber. Like,
yeah, compared to like Fifth Sister and Deidre, like one really is showing dominance, like with just it seems like even less in a way. Yeah, without a lightsaber, without like the threat of killing anybody, but you still fear her more in a way just because of her acting and all that. And how she's portrayed.
Right. Gotcha. Whereas Fifth Sister is basically yelling like, "Go listen to me." And you're like, all right, I don't know, all bark. Yeah, like I don't know, like this. Yeah, this show's done so freaking well. I even like, and I want to dive into every character. Like when they come back to Cyril, and he's like, I gotta get this job, and then she's like talking about his collar. And he's like, what's wrong with my collar? Like, I'm just like, oh my god, I could just watch this scene. Like, I could dive into all these forever. Like, it's so good. Like the writing and like oh my god, it's so good. I love this show. But even, and we're gonna go to the next episode. But even like the tasks they have to do in the next episode, I'm like, I want a little mini series about these guys in this jail, and like like the other people having to build things that like I was just like, oh my god, I want to know everything about this. Like it's so good.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. So yeah, let's take it away, because episode 8 kicks off and it's such a crazy start. At first, you know, when I watched it, I was like, wait, did he really just get arrested? And then episode 8 picks up and he's in his transport and he has the handcuffs on. And, you know, they have the magnetic pull apart handcuffs where he gets handcuffed to the chair, which I thought was like so cool. It's like so simple, but still so badass. And
then he meets Smeagol.
He does eventually.
Oh my god!
But yeah, well, before we get there, he gets off the ship and they start getting sorted out, and it's just like a whirlwind. It's kind of like he gets landed, and they just start shooting people off in different directions and threatening him with no explanation. I mean, he got like a minor charge for walking on the beach, and now has to serve 6 years, which would be terrifying. Would be so bad. And
what's scary too is like that's like a real fear. Like you could just be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then someone's like, yeah, you did this or what, and then you just don't have enough evidence to back you up, or there's just like they're not taking time to listen to your plea, and then you just get placed in prison. Like that could literally happen. That's what's so terrifying about that.
Let
Totally.
me jump in real quick on this. So it's been bugging me because I think like the writing in the show is so top notch, but there's one thing I would have changed. The fact that Cyril has a new job and they said that we could fix your record right now. So they're going to fix his record, right? So that means his job has that capability. Would not have been way cooler if while he's at his job, he realizes he could change Andor's record and put a wanted record on him. So then that's why he gets arrested. So Cyril gets him arrested on the beach. Like to me, that would have made it like Cyril's like trying his best to try to catch Andor still.
That's cool.
And
that would have been cool actually.
Like just that little connected tissue. I want these two to connect a little bit more, in my opinion.
No, that's true. That would actually be really, really cool. I'm still curious to see how they end up, because they have to come face to face before the end of the season.
Absolutely.
You know, but like I'm wondering if they're just kind of showing somehow these parallel paths are still going to put them head on, which we know they will. But it is kind of interesting because now Andor, like Drake was kind of pointing out, he's actually in a real prison, where Cyril was in kind of like a modern day, in a prison of sorts, if you will, right? In a soul-sucking job. He wears a uniform like the rest of them. He goes and doesn't talk to anybody, has to stay in his silo. In a way, I wonder if there's like a parallel there to they're both in a prison. You know what I mean? So, I do like what you're saying though, Frank. Yeah, sorry, Scott. What were you saying?
No, like as cool as that would be, like just for like connectivity, I would have really loved that. But I wonder if they just want to show you like just how fucked the system is. Like they're trying to tell you like, oh no, this is better for all. But like you could literally just be a dude walking and they just bully you into prison.
Which parallels to that happens to people today in our world. So it's a good move to parallel. Yeah, I understand. Totally.
But I would also have like Cyril, because he's got the power. So you're like, logically, you're like, why wouldn't you like?
There's got to be something. He's got this real terrible job. There's got to be something he does. I'm waiting. Yeah, for him. It's like a time bomb.
That's so true. But we finally see with him in episode 8, like he's been pretty powerless as well in this whole process, right? Like he loses his job. He has to go live with his mother. His mother kind of helps him get this job, and like he hates all of this because he wants to be out there catching Cassian. And we finally see that he he sees an opening, right? He meets Deidre. Deidre pulls him and is like, why do you keep doing these reports? Like, I saw you did 5 of these reports in the last, whatever it was, week or month. And he's like, actually 6. So you could tell like he's proud of the work he's doing. And he's like, I have a purpose here, whether everybody realizes it or not. There's something I'm really trying to do. And I know that this guy is the start of something big. And yeah, that was really, I don't know. I feel like maybe there's like parallels going on here, but I don't know for sure. But let's get back to the jail cell because it gave me like really kind of creepy vibes. It was almost like Squid Games in a way. They get in, they take all the guys' shoes off, or they have to kick off their shoes, and they get on that platform. And I forgot what the mineral was called, but like, was it manganite or magnesianoid or something like that? But all of the officers, there's no guns, they don't have any weapons, but they have rubber shoes that look pretty cool, actually. And then they have these buzzers that like shock the floor. And when that first like officer presses that button and that buzzer goes off, that pose they make that was kind of like grunge like was so oh my god, it looked so painful. That's all I could say.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Yeah, and the sound
so painful.
Right?
Yeah.
And the sound in it made this like really weird screeching, kind of off-putting sound. I thought that was just such like a crazy start to this whole prison system that they're in. Then, again, to what Drake was saying, he starts getting pulled down these corridors and he starts making note of what shoes are in the, like where they are, what shoes are missing, what hallways are doing what. And we can kind of see that the guards aren't really as organized as they appear. It seems more of what's keeping all the prisoners in the system is actually like the systems that are in place. Not that these guards are amazing or anything like that. And then you get down there and it's on like full on Squid Games, every man for themselves. But sometimes there's a team game. But part of the team game is also if the team wins, then you may win yourself. And we get to see Andy Serkis. And I think his name is like Kilo something. I can't remember off the top of my head. Kino Loy, that's what it is. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And man, that whole scene and just the hierarchy and the relationship and how things work in that prison system. Yes, I could watch a series about that. I would be creeped out. It would make me feel all kinds of weird and bad, but I would watch that.
Especially the way Andy Serkis pitches it, like his monologue and like, this is how it works, okay?
Right.
And like he just tells it like it is. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm enjoying it and I'm like, so good.
Like you play against the other tables. And our floor plays against the other floors, or like our whatever he said, something like that, or like and then Andor goes play, and he goes, you can call it whatever you want. I'm like,
he's like, there's so many.
He
gives me Samuel Jackson from Django Unchained vibes. I don't like him. Like I like the character, I like the actor a lot, but then I'm like, you are against your own people. Like rise up with them, and it's like we just
that's a good point.
He's literally like, I'm here for these many more days, and I'm just trying to keep my head down. You will do well because you need to for me to do well.
I think he's going to kill the old man who's slowing down that team. I think that's what's going to happen because he's like, he's trying to get the numbers up, and that old man keeps slowing them down. He's going to kill that guy. He's going to push him out on the floor.
Oh man, I wouldn't doubt it.
Could see that,
and it's going to go. I'm trying to think of and sadly, like Squid Games is the only thing where they end up to start to kill each other because they don't want to lose. And there's this hierarchy of power, even within the prisoners. I could totally see that happening. Yeah, Drake, I feel like you have some thoughts about this prison scene and all those devices they're making.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what they are. Are they like engine calipers type situations? Because they're all like 5 or 6 stacked in a row, and I feel like I've seen that before, but I'm not completely too sure.
Right.
But it definitely has like a pseudo like Orange is the New Black vibe, right? There's definitely some commotion between the individuals, with that individual who stepped onto the floor when it was red and kind of relieved himself of duty. That's definitely going on more often, and the dynamic of that in itself, like we all, I think, can agree, we would love to see more on that. But the biggest thing for me is like, what is Andor thinking? That throughout the whole thing is like, what is he thinking? What does he want to do? Why is he being so observant? Like from the moment he got in there, they were telling him to look forward, move forward, do this, do that. And you can just see him looking left to right, observing. And you just know that he's working. The next episode, hopefully they kind of like, not pull kind of like a Ocean's 11 where, he looked at all those things and gave us what we want. But man, that would be so tight. I just really want to know what's going through his head.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because this is probably the episode where he has the least amount of dialogue. So there's a lot of acting going on just in his expressions, just through his face. So you're right.
Yeah,
it is kind of curious, and obviously, like the next episode will hopefully let us know a little bit more about that.
I think it's like a. Oh, sorry. Go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I heard a theory that what they're making is some kind of component for the Death Star.
I was wishing they were making the panels on the outside, like something like.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. But some of you were saying because of how it's shaped, and they're kind of like a star, but also they go out. It could hold. It could be like the infrastructure of the Death Star, so that panels would go on the outside of that, and so these things would connect in these like little hexagonal shapes on the outside and make like this sphere. So that's one rumor I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but
that's cool.
Yeah. Another one that's a little bit more messed up is some people believe maybe they're just creating parts to create more of the jail, so that they're like create other type of prisons. So that they're basically
making their jail better.
Yeah, or they're creating the system or the place that's literally keeping them in. So that would be another crazy
nuts.
Next level.
We know that they're having a lack of oversight. There's not enough men to go around to guard, so they're really relying on that floor situation to kind of help them through. So assuming that's what's going to be what they're talking about, or what's going to play into maybe hopefully their escape moving forward. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the Empire is basically creating this system so that the people are policing themselves. Right? Because now it's not us versus the guards. It's us versus table 2. It's us versus table 3. And then our floor versus the other floor, and the psychological infrastructure built around it is so crazy. Like you want to talk about like an impressive system like that, because you're not even looking at who the real opponent is. You're looking at people who are no different than you as the opponent. And it's all based because of the system that they're implementing, which is so smart and so manipulative. And it shows like how crazy, and the psychological torture that the Empire will put people in to kind of hold them in place. That's the cool part. Also like crazy. It's gross, but like, it's still kind of cool in an interesting way for me.
Yeah. The fact that, they're working 12 hours a day and they show you this dude that kills himself in the middle of the night, and like Trick was saying, like this is probably happening all the time, especially when the first response is they're like, oh great, like they were on my table, like fuck. Like immediately it's like, how does this affect me? So they do a really good job of turning everyone against each other, even though you're on a team. Like totally, you're still making sure you're looking out for number one. And I think that's why Andor's looking around. Like I don't think he has like a grandmaster plan yet, because he's like, but he's a survivor. So he's literally like, okay, like sizing out, who's the tough dude? Who's what? How do I survive? How do I be on the best, whatever? And then probably just looks for an opening. If there ever is one that comes up, he's like prepared for it.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I do like, because if they didn't show him looking around, then I wouldn't believe anything that he's done thus far. Like, I love like even when the heist he comes in, like even though he doesn't know what's going on, he's like, hey, I was here for a reason. Like like he's so confident because he's like, I guess he's just trusting his abilities to like be able to pick things up and like figure it out as he goes.
Yeah,
which is cool.
He finds a way to be useful and make sure that he's covering his own ass. So I would imagine the same thing will happen in a future episode. To your point, then let's get to that point, because I just want to say one other thing that I thought was crazy. The way that they kind of reward the tables is by like adding flavor to the food.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's nuts.
I was like, what does that tube taste like? It was like,
it's just like oatmeal, hopefully.
Yeah, I was like
gravy.
What's his name? Mouse in The Matrix, when he's like, this cream of, I used to think it like tastes like cream of wheat or whatever. And then, Wrecker or whatever his name is, he's like, well, it's a amino acid and blah, 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 everything the body needs. I'm like, oh, it looks like
Yeah.
slop. Like,
That's exactly what
just
I
can't
imagined
imagine
it
what
was.
right. Like
Yeah.
no flavor. And when they get flavor, what do you think that flavor is? Just like anything?
Salt, probably. Whatever.
Yeah, maybe just salt. Yeah. What's crazy too? He's like, they're like, you can eat as much as you want, but then you see him like trying to hurriedly eat and drink before they call him to work. So I'm like, I
Right.
wonder how much time they actually get to eat and drink all they want.
That's
like
true.
lights out at this time, get up to start working at this time. So
That's true.
crazy.
Do
And
they
he had
get
that little
breaks?
plate. That was kind of cool. Like that plate
Oh,
just goes
yeah.
into the wall, and then I'm like, does it wash itself? Like,
I know. I was like, so many questions. Like, that's kind of a neat setup. I don't want to be there, but
Right.
units.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's so funny. But yeah, so such a crazy system. Let's talk about. All right, what are our predictions for episode 9? And we go around. I think Andor needs to escape. I believe, somebody pointed this out. And I don't know which character it is, but there is a character in the prison that shows up in Rogue One. And I don't know exactly who it is. It's just like what I've heard through the grapevine. So I believe that for the next episode, he's going to make an alliance with somebody. And there was even that guy that was like, don't look at the numbers. They mess with it all the time or something like that, where, those they showed that panel and it was like, how many days, I guess, till you get out. But I think this is confirmed. It's how many shifts till you get out. So there's somebody who was already warning them about the numbers. I think he's going to make an alliance there. And at some point, they're either going to figure out how to escape together, or Andor's going to figure out how to escape and then pull that guy along. That's for one thing. The second thing is, I think it's only a matter of time before Luthen gets caught. I think it's.
Oh, I love him though.
I know, I love him too. But he's been so kind of one step ahead of the Empire that I think it's only a matter of time before he can't escape it. And thus, I think it propels Mon Mothma into an elevated position where she kind of has to step out, maybe from her seat in the Senate to a seat of more power, or she starts taking over the underground kind of system because he's no longer able to do it. So those are kind of like some low level predictions I have for episode 9.
Those are good ones.
Yeah.
I'll go next. So they're doing well, first off, what do you guys think about the way they're doing these like 3-episode arcs? Like every 3 episodes is a different story basically. And Andor's got 2 guys he killed on his planet. Then heist time. Then so I think we're actually going to have like 2 more episodes in prison actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like it
No, that makes
actually.
sense.
I
You
think
liking those?
maybe
Yeah.
that's maybe that's why the show's doing well for me. Like it gives more
Pacing's
time to
different,
flesh out
yeah.
the story. Like
Yeah.
because it can be a slow burn and have an arc.
While still changing. Yeah, so we're watching like Mon's story take a while to go, but then, meanwhile, Andor was in prison. Okay, let's check that out,
Right.
So I
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. And I think it was a big complaint of the internet, and I tended to agree with it, which was some of those 6-episode arcs for Boba Fett and for Obi-Wan Kenobi, like it just kind of didn't work because I felt some things they wrote themselves into a corner because they just didn't have any more episodes to flesh it out. So I really like this. And if you have a writer as good as Tony Gilroy, like it's great to be able to do that because he writes amazing characters and really amazing like plot driving story. That's exciting. So yeah, I'm really digging it.
Which sounds like that's what happened with Armor War, because now it's a movie. So I bet they were like, look, guys, honestly, we can't justify 6 episodes, so let's just make it a movie and then boom, we're good.
Yeah.
So
I'm stoked about that.
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
I want him to take such a departure, but I want him to take on the moniker of Iron Man so that you have Secret Wars like 1984 when Rhodey was actually Iron Man in
like
that
that.
comic run. So I'd be stoked about that, especially if we're getting Ironheart. But anyways,
Yeah.
sorry.
So, I know. It's hard not to talk about it. So yeah, I'll just real quick. I think we're gonna get 2 more episodes in the prison. We see that he sees that they have the numbers. He's looking at, oh wow, there's a pathway here, pathway there. People are able to talk from tunnel to tunnel. So he's like, okay, we have comms. I think he's basically setting up like, I'm gonna purposely make a riot to take this place out because we're gonna
Yeah.
go. We got to get Cassian into. I'm helping start the rebellion. He's close, but he's still selfish, or else he wouldn't be running away to that
Right.
Florida and space. So this is now like, okay,
That's-
he's starting to build up this like, all right, we could create a rebellion within this prison.
No, you're totally right.
I
I
like
also forgot about that moment where that guy's basically giving hand signals to the people
Yeah.
on the other
Oh
floors.
yeah.
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 So they like you could communicate like at 2 o'clock, murder everybody. I don't know, whatever,
yeah,
And
yeah,
they have water connected to. I've been thinking about like how I can escape. So they got water connected to the thing. What if it happens if you pour the water on the floor? Would it short it out?
Oh.
So then they could like boom short. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm ready, Cassie. If you need my help, let's get out of this.
Yeah.
There you go. It's
Got
good.
Water gun
ideas.
attack. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bulbasaur. Or, that's the
Yeah.
wrong one.
It's good. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Drake? Scott, you have any predictions or anything you hope to even see in the next episode?
No, I kind of agree with Frank. Like the arcs in general, definitely seem patternish, and I agree with Scott. Like I really enjoy how they can flesh out the story a little bit more through these tiny arcs. At the same point in time, I kind of, as much as I care about Andor, I kind of really, once they named Mon Mothma, I was like, oh man, she was on the ship during the original. Like she was a
Right.
huge character and part of the rebellion. I want to know a little bit more about her story. So I hope they jump back to her every once in a while because she's just the most interesting one for me right now at the moment.
Yeah, because you eventually got to get that bob cut, and she hasn't gotten it yet. So
Yeah,
it's only a matter of time. Yep.
Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
Yeah, Frank's prediction sounds pretty good. Like I think I'm like sometimes when a show's so good, I have a hard time like maybe predicting or wanting to predict. I'm just like I'm
Right.
just here for the ride. Like this,
Yeah.
another show to compare this to. It reminds me of like Vince Gilligan's like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. Like
Everything does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, everything he does. It's like I don't know what the characters are gonna do next, but I'm like I'm down for it. There's probably gonna be a twist, and like I probably should have expected it, but I didn't because I was just like I don't know, just like such a passenger in this. But that makes sense. Yeah, like cause a riot, break out, probably use the water. I hope he uses the water. I'm be like,
I
yeah,
hope
Frank
so.
called it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it was right there on the wall. But yeah, I'm just pumped for this. I hope they do more in the prison too. At least one more episode because it's just so interesting the way they run it and just the people there. And I want to see like what's going on with them hand signals for sure.
Yeah. I almost forgot about this completely, but we also saw Guerrera as well with Luthen.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was crazy.
Big
That
reveal.
that interaction between them two, like both of them, was just so good. It's just like you get to see more of why Saw is so fanatical and why he's as on the border cusp as he is from the normal rebellion or like the people who are part of the major side of the rebellion. So yeah, that was amazing. It's really cool to see Forrest Whitaker back. He's such a good actor. Forrest Whitaker and Skarsgård acting off of each other was such a good scene, and it was so powerful.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even really
So good.
grasp. I had to rewatch it because I didn't even grasp what they were talking about the first time. But I was like, "This is good. This is
Dude.
intense."
Yeah, exactly. Like when people when certain actors are like doing their thing so good, I can't help but like listen to the lines they're delivering and I'm like, oh, that's a good choice. Like how they
Yeah.
delivered that. Or like, oh man. I look at the eye movement, mouth movement, I'm just like I just like overanalyze it and then I'm like you the fuck are they talking about? Rewind a little bit.
Right,
Like,
Completely went over my
it's-
head, but I noticed
yeah.
he wasn't wearing the breathing mask, which is cool for continuity because in Rogue One he's wearing the mask. And
no
so,
asthma yet.
yeah, he doesn't. He just not battle torn. Yeah, or maybe asthma. Space asthma hasn't gotten him.
Yeah.
So yeah, right on, guys. Well, I think that's kind of it for the rest of the night. Any final thoughts for this episode, Drake?
If you're not watching, go watch. Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. That was
Right on.
best.
Did a PSA.
Yeah, it's same thing. Like if you haven't watched any Star Wars shows yet and you've been wanting to jump in, I'd say jump into Andor. It's done really well. So good. And if you like Rogue One, definitely watch this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
for people who are new to Star Wars, like I can't imagine there is somebody new completely to Star Wars, but I wonder if this is a good entry point because it's so interesting and there's not a lot of lightsabers or space and stuff like that. Like it's just a really good tense story. So I wonder how that would be for noobs.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we got to try to find somebody out there that wants to be on this show or Geek Freaks that would talk about that. but it
Those
would be
worlds
pretty.
don't intersect well, though. That's the
I
problem.
know, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So well, thank you, Frank, for being on. Really appreciate having you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. You're such an expert at all this stuff, and yeah, you always bring like so much knowledge to it. So appreciate that, man. But we want to finish again. We are doing our comic book club. We will be reading Black Panther Volume 4 by Reginald Hudlin, Ken Lashley, and J. Scott Campbell, and also Fantastic Four 147 and 149 by Gerry Conway, Rich Buckler, and Joe Sinnot. I messed up last time too. That's hilarious. Sorry, Joe. And thank you guys. Definitely check out these shows. Definitely check out Tales of a Jedi as well. I thought it was really cool. If you like the Clone Wars or any of the prequels, you're going to definitely dig it, I think. Thank you guys. Happy Halloween.
And check out Geek Freaks.
And
They're
check
awesome.
out Geek Freaks.
That's a really
Absolutely.
good one.
Really great. Absolutely great. Happy Halloween. And thanks for checking in with us, everybody.
Peace.
The Joystick Show.
If you like what you hear, please like, follow, and subscribe. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us on Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at JoyStickShow, Joystick Show. Or if you feel like submitting topics or asking questions to be discussed on further episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. Peace out and make it a great rest of your week.
The Joystick Show.